makes you feel so good. More fun in Kensington. It's more than just a movie, it's a big night out. Gotta go to the show and the good times are. More fun in Kensington. It's more fun in Kensington.
Welcome to Kensington, your hometown church for great community and quality refreshments. Help keep the auditorium clean by depositing litter in trash receptacles. No talking or texting during the service. And be sure to use the Kensington app or visit the Starting Point team after the service to learn more about Kensington and receive a free gift. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the service.
It's more than just a movie, it's a big night out. Gotta go to the show where the good times are. It's more fun in Kensington. It's more fun in Kensington. It's more fun in Kensington.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Kensington. To answer the two questions in your mind right now, yes, you are in church, and yes, it can get a little crazy here sometimes, but crazy in a good way. So I'm Nancy, and if you are newer to Kensington or you're just checking this place out today, we're so glad you're here because we're kicking off a new series today called Kensington Goes to the Movies. Based on that medley, can you guess what genre of movies we're talking about today? Star Wars. Yes, we're going to talk about The Last Jedi today. And to make the experience really amazing, the ushers are going to come forward right now and hand out lightsabers. Glow sticks. So hold on to those because we're going to be using them in a minute. And while the ushers come forward and hand those out, I'm going to catch you up on a couple of things. Next weekend, we have our annual Rock Your Family Camp up at Spring Hill Camps, a couple hours northwest of here. And there's still some spots available, so if you are interested in creating some long-lasting life memories with your family, you can go online, you can look at the housing options, you can register, or go out to the lobby, and our info center will help you out there. Next, our next big event that's coming up is in August, and that's our annual baptism event out at Stony Creek Metro Park. So I want you to think about having a picnic on the lawn over the lake with a live band playing incredible music and then hearing life-transforming stories. It's something that you're not going to want to miss. It might become the highlight of your summer. If you're someone who's ready to say, I'm all in with Jesus, and you want to publicly declare your faith, then go online, watch a short video, and you'll be registered for that. And then for the rest of us, set down that light stick, pick up your phone, and put August 5th in your calendar because you're going to want to come out and experience the community that's going to happen out there on that day. Finally, I need to update you that you may have caught the news last night or this morning that there is a protest happening in Haiti. We have 2 teams in Haiti right now with our Mission of Hope partner, and they are safe and they're doing fine. They are over an hour away from the airport. The protest started when the government said they were increasing fuel charges 40%, and they have now rescinded that decision. The protest is dying down. One team will be back tomorrow, and then the student trip returns on Wednesday as normal. So just wanted you to know we have great partners on the ground there, and everyone is safe. Now, in a moment, Andrew Kim's going to come up, and he's going to lead us in the message of how to connect biblical values to The Last Jedi movie. But before that happens, I'm going to invite you to stand up and greet a few people around you. And then if you haven't already, you're going to want to break your light stick so we can get started.
Okay, everyone, pay close attention. More recruits are needed for the Alliance against the Emperor in our final battle. There are many skills you will need to become a Jedi so you can defeat the dark side. Are you ready to begin your training? Follow your Jedi color.
Here are your instructions. When you see your lightsaber color on the screen, echo that color by lifting yours high into the air. Then put it down. Let's practice. Blue. Ready, go. Blue. Good. Except for that person in the second row, who didn't put their lightsaber down. A little slow on the uptake. Let's try again. Pink, green, ready, go. Pink, green, now, again. Pink, green, blue, go. Pink, green, blue. Pink, green, blue, yellow. Pink, green, blue, yellow. Pink, green, blue, yellow, purple. Pink, green, blue, yellow, purple. Pink, green, blue, yellow, purple, orange. Pink, green, blue, yellow, purple, orange. I think we've got it. Let's try again. Orange, yellow, ready, go. Orange, yellow. Orange, yellow, green. Orange, yellow, green. Orange, yellow, green, purple, orange, yellow, green, purple, orange, yellow, green, purple, blue. Orange, yellow, green, purple, blue. Orange, yellow, green, purple, blue, pink. Orange, yellow, green, purple, blue, pink. Good. Now, it's time to put you to the test. To complete your Jedi training, you must all work together to finish this sequence at a faster speed. Only then will we be strong enough to defeat the dark side. Here we go. Purple, 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 green, purple, green, purple, green, blue, purple, green, blue, purple, green, blue, yellow, purple, green, blue, yellow, purple, green, blue, yellow, pink. Purple, green, blue, yellow, pink. Purple, green, blue, yellow, pink, orange. Purple, green, blue, yellow, pink, orange. Ready, again. Orange, 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 pink, orange, pink, orange, pink, yellow, orange, pink, yellow, orange, pink, yellow, green, blue, purple. Orange, pink, yellow, green, blue, purple. Purple, pink, yellow, purple, pink, yellow, purple, pink, yellow, blue, green, orange. Purple, pink, yellow, blue, green, orange. You did it. Jedi training is now complete. To aid your fellow Jedis in their final battle, wave your lightsabers in the air.
That was so great. Give yourselves a hand. It's a great way to start off the morning. Thanks so much for jumping in and just being up here and seeing all of you. It was pretty incredible, especially once Orange figured out that they weren't yellow, but they were actually orange. You guys really got into it. And so thanks so much for being a part of this and having some fun today. And so we need your glow sticks for the next service so we can have just as much fun. So if you wouldn't mind passing them down to the ends of your aisle, our ushers will be down in a moment to grab them from you. But as you heard, we're in a brand new series starting today called Kensington Goes to the Movies, where every single week we're going to be looking at a different movie and we're going to be pulling out a powerful truth that we hope will inspire and move us as a community to take a larger step towards living the life that God has created and destined for us to live. And today, the movie that we're going to be looking at is the movie The Last Jedi, which is part of the Star Wars family. And so let me ask you as we get started, how many of you here in this room, how many of you have seen all of the Star Wars movies, all 10 episodes? Quick show of hands. Okay, so a lot of you. So on the other end of the spectrum, because I'm always surprised to find out the answer to this, how many have seen no Star Wars movie? Absolutely zero. Can't believe that. Absolutely tragic. And some people are actually proud of that. Wow. Okay, so I have some good news for you. For those of you who have never seen a Star Wars movie, today you're going to see about 20 minutes of The Last Jedi, different clips from the movie, sort of all stitched together, and so you'll be able to experience what a Star Wars movie feels like, and I hope that will compel you and inspire you to go out and watch the other 9 as well. And so in looking at The Last Jedi today, we're going to be talking about how when life knocks us down, and we're going to be looking primarily at this character named Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars movies. And we're going to be talking about how when life knocks us down, when we come to this place of discouragement and hopelessness, how we can get up and get back into the fight. And as I was thinking about what we're going to be talking about today, I was reminded of something that my wife Robin experienced a number of years ago. And at the time, we were working for a humanitarian organization called Mercy Ships. And part of our job was to lead teams on these 2-month-long community development trips all around the world. And on one of these trips, we found ourselves in the West African country of Benin, which is known to be the birthplace of voodoo. And Robin was leading her team about 90 miles north of the capital. And her contact in that village was a local pastor. And he was supposed to be their connection to that community because he knew the people, and therefore he had all the relationships. He knew the language, the culture. And so he was supposed to be the one who worked with them to really open up the doors that they needed in that community. And Robin's team, understanding some of the needs in that community beforehand, some of the ideas that they had as to the work that they could do, was that they wanted to work with some of the orphanages in the area. And they also wanted to empower and equip some of the local people to start micro businesses. Both great ideas. But when they got there and they tried to implement some of these things and tried to start some of these things, for some reason, this pastor would step in and immediately shut it down. And at first, Robin and her team couldn't understand why he was doing this. But they eventually found out that the only thing that he wanted them to do was to give his church money so that they could build a building and so he could meet the needs of the people there. And that's not what Robin's team was there to do, so she said no. And so this guy prevented them from doing anything. So their team found themselves sitting around doing nothing. And so you can imagine they were frustrated, and Robin, as their leader, was frustrated. And after about 2 weeks of this, the team, what they started doing was that they started turning their frustration towards Robin because she was their leader. So they started complaining to her, about her. They started blaming her because these people had come from all over the world. They had traveled thousands of miles and they had come to this place with hopes and dreams and aspirations of making a difference in the lives of the people in this community. And in the first 2 weeks, they found themselves sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And so they began to turn on Robin. And so you can imagine in that moment, Robin felt incredibly discouraged. She even felt hopeless. She felt like she was in between a rock and a hard place. There wasn't much she could do. And if you were to ask her, she would even tell you that at that point, she felt like just quitting and walking away. Have you ever been in a situation, have you ever been in a season like that, where you felt so deflated, where something happened, you felt so discouraged, you felt so incredibly hopeless? Maybe it was when you were suddenly let go from your job. Or maybe it was when someone hurt you or betrayed you. Maybe it was when something devastating happened in the life of someone you so deeply love. Or maybe it was a mistake you made that caused somebody else an incredible amount of pain. But whatever it was, have you ever been in a situation or in a season of life where you got knocked down and you felt like you didn't have the strength to get back up? And in The Last Jedi, what we see is that Luke Skywalker, this legendary Jedi master, we find him in hiding. And he's really, really discouraged because of a mistake that he believes that he's made in his past. And so he refuses to get up. He refuses to re-engage and get back into the fight, even though he has the potential to turn the tide of this war between the resistance, who are the good guys, and the First Order, who are the bad guys. And the story begins with these two characters named Luke and Rey traveling across the galaxy to try to track down Luke on this remote island and trying to convince him to return with them. So take a look at this. I remember the first scene that we just saw so epitomizes how Luke was feeling. Because Rey gives him his lightsaber back only to have Luke take it, throw it over his shoulder, and just walk away. It's very, very anticlimactic, but that's exactly how he was feeling. Deflated, beaten down, and incredibly discouraged. And I remember when I first saw this movie, at this point, I remember thinking to myself, Luke, why are you being such a jerk? Why are you being so selfish? Why can't you help these people who obviously need your help? These people who are your friends, these people who are your family. But then I came to realize that we as human beings, we do things for a reason. There's a reason behind our actions. And for Luke, his past was so full of pain. And as a result, he was so discouraged, he wasn't willing to engage the present need. And again, have you ever been in a place like this in your life? Where you saw a need and you knew that if you stepped in, you could make a difference, you could help. But your pain and your discouragement prevented you from doing so. And when we look at the scriptures, we see that there were plenty of people who faced similar situations, one of them being the Apostle Paul. And Paul, in addition to writing a huge portion of the New Testament, he was also the greatest missionary in history. And Paul, what he would do as a missionary is that he would go from city to city telling people about Jesus and starting churches. And one of the cities that he visited was a city called Corinth, which is located in southern Greece. And in Paul's day, back in the 1st century AD, there were around 200,000 people who lived in Corinth, which made it a massive city. But Corinth was also a very diverse city because the people there had come from all over the Roman Empire and descended on this city to live there. It was an incredible place of commerce as well. But something else that Corinth was known for, very well known for, was its immorality. So much so that in the 5th century BC, the Greeks coined a term to Corinthianize, which meant to commit sexual immorality. That was one of the major things that Corinth was known for. And this is the city that Paul went to back in the 1st century. And one of the first things that Paul would do was that when he entered into a new city, if there was a Jewish synagogue, he would go there to tell the people there, to have conversations with them about Jesus. And this is exactly what he did in Corinth. And we pick up the story in this New Testament book called Acts. And Acts was written by this doctor named Luke. And he chronicles, and what Acts talks about is the early history of the church. And so this is what Luke writes about Paul's time in Corinth. And that when he first got there, it says that every Sabbath, Paul went to the synagogue and he reasoned with the people in the synagogue, trying to persuade the Jews and the Greeks. He told them about Jesus. And sometimes when he did this, in some of the cities that he visited, things would go extremely well. And the people there would believe and accept his message, and they became Jesus followers. But in other cities, it didn't go very well. And Corinth was one of those cities, because Luke writes, the people there, the Jews, they opposed Paul and became abusive. So Paul shook out his clothes in protest and said to them, "Your blood be on your own heads. I'm innocent of it. From now on, I'll go to the Gentiles being people who weren't Jewish." And so Paul realized that he was hitting wall after wall with the Jews, his very own people. So he shook out his clothes, which was Paul's way of saying, you know what? I'm done with you guys. This terrible decision that you made, I'm not responsible for it. It's on you. And then Paul, it says, literally went next door. Because it says, then Paul left the synagogue and went next door to the house of Titius Justus, who was not a Jew, but he was a Jesus follower. So Titius Justus was kind enough to allow Paul to continue his work out of his house. So Paul did. And so Paul went through Corinth, and he would tell people about who Jesus is and what he had done for them. And as a result of Paul's work, extraordinary things began happening in Corinth. Because it says Crispus, who was a synagogue leader, a very, very influential person, and his entire household, so everyone in his family as well as everyone who worked for this man Crispus, they believed in the Lord, and many of the Corinthians who heard Paul believed and were baptized as well. So God was moving in Corinth through Paul. But we know that even though all of these amazing things were happening, people were believing and people were having their lives changed. Even in the midst of this, we know that Paul was still discouraged. He still felt hopeless. And as we'll read about in a moment, he was afraid. And the reason why Paul felt this way, even in the midst of all these great things happening, was because of what had happened in the cities that he had been in prior to coming to Corinth. Because in those cities, Paul had been ridiculed, he had been falsely accused, he had been severely beaten, he had been thrown in jail. And in one of those cities, the people hated him so much that they actually created a mob, and there was a riot that basically chased Paul out of the city. And these people hated Paul so much that they didn't just stop there. They actually went and chased after him in a neighboring city where he was and tried to stir up trouble and tried to hurt him even more. So as you can imagine, by the time Paul got to Corinth, he was tired. He was really discouraged and he was hopeless. And none of us would have blamed him if in that moment he had thought about just saying, you know what, I'm done. What's the point of this? People don't get it. People hate me. I'm experiencing this extraordinary abuse, so what's the point? Let me just pack it in at this point. This was his situation at this time. And in The Last Jedi, what we see is that Luke Skywalker, again, was in a very similar situation. And in the scenes that we're about to see, he tells Rey, this young woman, he tells Rey about the depth of his pain and disillusionment. And as he's wrestling with whether to disciple Rey in the ancient ways of the Jedi Order, he's reminded of his past failures as well as his present fear. And Luke does everything that he can to try to convince Rey not to become a Jedi. And in going through this conversation and going through this process, Luke comes to a place where he very, very, very close, he makes a decision almost to just walk away from everything. And he also comes to a place where he is contemplating whether he should just destroy everything so that the Jedi can never rise again. So take a look at these scenes.